Hello and welcome to another episode of our Creative Sligo series here on The Sligo Show with myself, Brendan Tierney. And on this series, we've interviewed a number of people from around Sligo town and county who live in their creative world of all different sides, whether it's music, art, whatever they're into. We're delighted to have them here on our show. And today we're in a very, very special, famous studio in Sligo. We're out here just heading towards North Sligo region. We have the wonderful Annie West. Annie, it is lovely to be here in your studio and to have you on the show. You're very welcome.
Thank you, Brendan. Welcome aboard.
Thank you. Well, I get a bit of learnings later on. Maybe there's loads of crayons and colours over there. Would I be allowed, Would I be allowed to touch
more
them?
than welcome to do any colouring you want. I have a few jobs here piling up that you could...
Great, okay. A little mixer on the side.
Yes.
So, Annie, for anyone that doesn't know you, how do you describe yourself, what you do?
I'm an illustrator.
Illustrator, okay. And how would that be defined different from an artist now, would you say?
There's quite a difference between an artist and an illustrator. An artist would work from inside out,
Okay.
as it were, because there's a need to express yourself. Illustrators work for money.
Okay, there's a different need.
There's a different need.
But that gives you lots of inspiration, so it does.
It does. Mostly what illustrators do and have done down the years is work to a brief supplied by somebody else. So the work comes in rather than comes out.
Yes, okay.
Okay. So it's commercial art mostly, and it is done to a specific brief for the client. Okay. So it's quite a different setup from the art world. However, more recently, in the last couple of decades, illustrators have produced their own work as well to supplement their income, maybe, but also because they have needs too to express themselves. So I have a kind of a separate thing going on of my own work on the website, and then work for clients mostly.
Okay. And when you were young, were you always doodling? Was that the thing you were into when you were very young, I presume?
I dosed my way through school.
Okay.
I did nothing.
Okay, so there's a lot of doodles.
I have my parents demented trying to educate me.
Okay.
And I spent a lot of time scribbling and doodling. I don't really remember specifically actually doing that, but people have said to me since, "Oh, you spent the whole time fooling around, drawing on things," and that sort of thing.
Would you say that the way the education system is maybe isn't always favourable for someone in a creative space?
Yeah.
It's restrictive maybe even?
Well, it is quite, and it's not encouraged either. And they kind of knock it out of you very early. A bit like when you start reading children's books, it's all pictures. Then it's pictures and words. Then it's fewer pictures. And then by the time you're a teenager, there's no pictures at all. And I've often thought, well, why is that? But also in the education system, or at least when I was growing up, the only reason I went to do art was to get out of doing chemistry. So I kind of fell into the thing.
I can empathise with that now, yeah.
I would never have considered doing art. And also I had no idea that there was art that could be done as a job. That was never spoken about.
Yeah. It wasn't high on the agenda back then.
Yeah.
And when you were young, was there art and creativity in your household? Was there, extended family that were in that world? Or
no, I come from a family of engineers.
Okay.
But weirdly, my mother was interested in cartoons, and she had a lot of cartoon books in the house, which was kind of, thinking about it now, seems a bit odd because they were academics and engineers.
Yeah.
So Ronald Searle, Steinberg, people like that. And when I was small, I used to spend a lot of my time looking at those.
Okay, so you maybe
it went
got in there
some way.
Yeah. And then, so in school, there was no primary school, no art, secondary school per se. You did it to get rid of chemistry, and then that was your first foray into the creative world. And would anything you've drawn? Do you have any old drawings? Do you have anything to go? Does it look like what you do now at all?
No.
No correlation at all.
I have to confess something to you now, Brendan.
Great, I'm getting it on camera.
When I was told that there was such a thing as art school, which I didn't realise at the time, honestly, back then, 1979, there was no talk of this. You had to go and work in the bank, and that was it, or be a nurse or a doctor or something like that. But I heard that there was, my careers teacher said to me, well, she looked at my school record and went, "You're not going to amount to anything, you might as well go to art school." And I thought, what?
Best career advice ever.
Yes.
Accidentally.
So I I applied to NCAD and Dún Laoghaire, which, honest to God, I didn't even know there was such a thing at all. Never mind two of them. NCAD just looked at me, laughed, and hung up. So that was that. And I thought, oh dear. So I spent a weekend just basically putting a portfolio together. Did a lot of tracing.
I was going to say, so you did art. You did art for just an excuse. So you weren't even like painting all the time.
No.
Well, so art school or arts college, you going, that sounds a bit more interesting than going into the bank. So you didn't do it because I have this.
The bank wouldn't have me anyway. So I just, it was the only thing left, or maybe journalism.
Wow. Okay.
They didn't want me either. Because I was a dosser. Back then, if you didn't get the marks, then you're out.
Yeah, you're graded on how much how good your memory is a lot of the time as well. What can you remember from the books you read? Like,
unfortunately, my brothers and sisters were very, very, very good at school.
Okay, so they put a highlight on you then to put more pressure.
I kind of got lost in the mix somewhere. But anyway, I applied to Dún Laoghaire and I met the principal there, Trevor Scott, and I think he took pity on me.
Okay, well, you'll take it as long as it gets you.
And
the path
I got
led you
in,
to now,
and it changed my life.
And you'd started then loving your art in college.
Well, I walked.
Did you DOS as much, like?
I stopped DOSing really quickly then.
Okay.
But I think what happened was I first of all I was absolutely terrified because everybody else in my class knew exactly what they were doing, and I had no idea. I had no idea how to draw properly, or do life drawing. Life drawing. Oh my God, what is this?
Yeah.
And just completely taken aback by the whole thing, but just kind of spoofed my way along and then got into it. And then I got into it in a big way because I just started thinking, gee, I could actually do this.
Okay.
You know?
It's mad. It's a mad journey how you just, because of it's all chemistry's fault, basically, what's here.
Everything happened by accident. Every single thing was a sort of serendipity to it, you know, and it all kind of, the universe provided me with something and said, you know, if you work hard, you can do this. And it is hard work. I know a lot of people think it isn't.
Well, I think if they don't understand the process, they just assume it's lovely fun just colouring and drawing all day, but I imagine it's great.
I do come across people like that occasionally. I triple my fee.
That's one way to get over that then.
Yeah.
So finished college.
Yes.
Now, obviously, I presume having an arts degree wasn't high on the agenda of loads of jobs in Ireland at the time, was it?
No.
So you decided I'd go...
A funny thing happened as well. This is another one of those things where the whole thing just shifts a gear. Dún Laoghaire Art School came under new management, as it were, and they wanted to change the brand from art school to more of a communication school, film, animation, graphics, television. So the quickest way to do that at the time was just to kick everybody out.
Okay.
This is my take on it. Our year, we were in fourth year at the time, I think, everybody failed their assessments. Everybody failed. So this was fine art, you know, printmaking, sculpture, all of painting, messy stuff. So they wanted to get rid of us. So they just failed everybody. So
Ireland, huh?
Everybody else in my class went to NCAD. They just migrated. Everybody left. It was a bit like Twitter. It was suddenly everybody's gone.
Overnight gone, yeah.
And I had to make a quick decision then. And I thought, well, there is a course in television design, production design for TV. I'll go and do that. Because it looked interesting. And the guy who was the lecturer was a production designer in RTE, Michael Grogan. And as it turned out, I was the only one in the class. It was just him and me.
What? So, for how long?
For 2 years.
What? This story gets better by the minute.
I think maybe one person came along after that. But because I was the only one in the class, I got the internship in RTE.
Oh my God.
So my parents were delighted. So now I was in there. And back then it was a lot easier to get an internship or an attachment, as it was called at the time, in RTE. So I went in there and I was working on Bosco and Pat's Hat and all the good stuff.
So you were making the sets and
props and make and do. I was doing the make
Mary
and do.
Fitzgerald.
And Pat Ingoldsby's hats and crazy stuff.
That's a real part of Irish history and
Yeah, I
culture.
know.
You were there.
I was there.
My God. Well, a bit of an aside here, but like on the set of Bosco, was there lots of crack off camera
Oh,
and
there was a
messing?
lot
And
of language and a lot
I
of
would
crack.
say it would be brilliant to have
And a
seen
lot
that.
of fellas who'd been there for 20 years and just going, oh, there we go again. And, you know, there's kind of a hierarchy. The sound department were, by definition, very sound people.
Okay.
They were great crack. Everybody else was, you know, okay, took themselves fairly seriously. But because the design department was only one person for each show, you were kind of there on your own. So we'd just sit up in the sound booth and have great crack, laughing at everybody.
Mad.
But you know, it was an interesting place to work at the time. But I kind of felt it wasn't really something I'd be doing all my life. There were people still working in there that I knew back then.
Wow.
And I kind of think, well, if I'd stayed there, I'd probably be living in Mount Marion or somewhere.
Okay. Yeah. Up on the real higher echelons of RT now. Paying for flip-flops.
Yes.
So well, you how many years were you then with RT?
I was in there only about 2 years, really.
Okay.
Because what happened then was that there was this massive government cutbacks happened.
Surprise.
Another serendipitous moment for Annie, because the head of design said, look, you were last in, so you're first out, I'm afraid. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put you on the Irish RM, which was a Channel 4 RTE co-production.
Yes.
So I was kind of technically still with RTE, but not. I was going freelance now, and I didn't know what that meant. So I found out quick enough. But I went off working on the Irish RM, and then that led to something else and something else and something else. So I spent 10 years working in film and TV.
Wow. Any big, massive projects that we might remember or know of? Or was there any really, for you, a real wow moment? Or?
There was a couple, but mostly it was standing around for 16 hours a day and then frantic work for 2 hours and then standing around for another. I did 2 films for Neil Jordan, and I did, which was interesting. That was hard work.
Yeah, I imagine so.
And I did I'll tell you one that did stand out was the one I did. There was a program that came after The Tube, and the crew from The Tube, all from Tyne Tees, where I was working at the time, on Supergram, another one that I liked working on. I was there for that too. History.
I know, yeah.
There was. We went to the Tube finished, and then everybody went up to Pinewood Studios to work on a new music show called Wired. And I was working on that, and Robert Plant came along to do. And I was sitting in my office raging about something. I think my boss was an absolute tyrant, and I was sitting there scratching on the paper and knock on the door, tap, 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 and it was Robert Plant. He says, could I use your phone, please? And I went, oh, go on then.
Wow.
So he sat there on the phone for 20 minutes while I was standing there going, I don't know what I'm supposed to do now, but I wonder if there was some way I could ring my mother and tell her Robert Plant was sitting beside me.
Yeah.
I had Led Zeppelin on all the time.
Oh, wow. So not only was you knew who he was, you were like a mega fan.
I was well, I was more a Jimmy Page fan.
Okay. Yeah.
What's that whole tummy thing? Anyway, so he was sitting there, and then he gets off the phone and he turns around to me and he says, how's it going? And I was going, not great, really. So he starts to chat, and then he's trying to make me feel better. So he says, I wrote a song years ago, and it goes something like this, and to try and cheer me up.
Yeah.
I was going, this is bizarre. But he did a couple of lines of the song, and then he forgot the rest of the words.
That he wrote.
And then I forgot the rest of the words as well. So the two of us were just sitting there kind of looking at each other.
What a moment, lad.
Oh, okay, right, bye. Out the door.
Like it's that moment of you meeting the superstar, but you're both just humans getting on with life.
Yes, and it was funny because we were all expecting this gigantic big limousine to arrive at the back lot, and this old Hillman Hunter, battered out farmer's car arrives, and this massive rock god kind of unfolds himself out of it. He was a very nice fella, down to earth. He called everybody babe.
Male and female.
male and female, everybody. But he was something else. But that was quite a high moment. And
did you work with Peter O'Toole? I seen a clip you mentioned about him on Twitter.
Pint.
Oh, did he? Like, he seemed like it just...
What a guy. We were working on a film called High Spirits, which sadly bombed because the original script for that was very, very funny. Neil Jordan had written it, and it was hilarious. But the Americans then came along and just ripped out pages.
Okay.
It became something quite different. So I had a few things happen on that as well. I had to be a stunt double for Darryl Hannahs.
What?
Why not? Look at this.
We're going to need more tape here, Brian.
Don't I look like her? Short, overweight. Yeah.
These are not the little nuggets I was expecting to find out.
I was working. I was the only woman on the setting up, and it was 7 o'clock in the morning, freezing cold in Limerick, outside a ruined castle, and they needed to shoot her. Just a faraway shot of her up on the top turret, walking along in a wedding dress. And they hadn't got a stunt double, so they just went...
The magic of the movie world.
I didn't have a driving license. All I had was a motorbike. So I had to... I had to get on my motorbike, drive into Limerick in the freezing cold, hammer on the doors of a wedding dress person, say, I need a wedding dress this minute, right now. And they'd be going, what's going on?
We don't normally get this request.
Grabbed the wedding dress, brought it back on the back of the motorbike, got into it, and then climbed up on the very top of the turret of the castle with nothing in the way of safety equipment, nothing, a rope. And the third assistant director holding on to it, who wasn't really that pushed about, he was on talking to somebody. And I had to walk along this parapet with the wind blowing and the thing, and I did that. When I think about it now, no, I wouldn't.
You wouldn't do it in a fit? Like
no.
Just the rush and the adrenaline and the panic and just get it done.
Well, it was just whatever you get asked to do, you have to go and do it. If there's nobody else around, you know.
Yeah.
We were milking goats, we were climbing up parapets, we were wrangling fish, we were doing everything.
That wasn't your normal 9 to 5 anyway?
No.
A stunt double for Darryl Hannahs. Did you meet her then? Would you?
Oh, I did, yeah.
They were all mingling.
Lovely. But I didn't tell her that I was her stunt double because I thought that was probably not a good idea. Didn't make it to the final edit, thank God.
Ah, okay.
But yeah, that happened.
Okay.
So
that was the world of TV, movies,
Yeah.
And amazing stories. So the next chapter, was it then Sligo came around, or
no?
How long
I
did it
had
take
been
to
working on. I had a very, very busy year where I was working on another Neil Jordan film called The Miracle in Bray, and I went straight from that to doing the album covers for the Waterboys, and I had it all perfectly lined up where the waltzer that we were using on The Miracle would stay there an extra day for a photo shoot
with the boys,
with the Waterboys. But we went over time. And I thought,
it's going to be gone.
Oh dear God, what am I going to do now? So I had to go and organise a different waltzer down in Waterford, and all of that happened. And I kind of got to a stage where I just thought, this is getting too much. And then the last film I worked on was one called Hear My Song, where I was working in the art department, and then I was expecting Amy, and I just went, I have had enough. I can't do this anymore. There's too much going on. And I just thought, no. So I packed up my Mini and headed for Sligo because my father used to live here.
Okay.
He had a farm here that he was trying to, and when he got sick, he left the house to us, me and my family, and it was sitting empty for years. So it was kind of awful and falling down. And I thought, I'll go down there and take a couple of days and then I'll head back. That was 33 years ago.
There's a lot of people with that story of Sligo where they just tip off and then they just fall in love.
People need to leave a trail of breadcrumbs when they come to Sligo because there's just no way you're going to go back.
Yeah. If your life will in any way allow it, you would gladly move here. I find a lot of people would say like, they can like.
Yeah, and I think it's one of the best kept secrets of this country is Sligo, because you do get a lot of people who go through here to go up to Donegal or down to Galway, and they see what it's like here, and just
we need to make sure they stop a bit more. And bring them around. And then okay, you're here now.
Yep.
And then you go, I'll just start doing my own thing, is it? Or
weirdly,
it wasn't that easy.
Serendipity, once again, the day after I arrived, they invented the internet. So
just that day. It was just invented. And hold on, could you get it in North Sligo back then?
You could, but it was dial-up and it was terrible. But it was better than nothing. But it completely changed everything, because I'd already started doing some illustration work, but I hadn't really considered doing it full-time. And I hadn't really thought about what I was going to do at all, you know. And it was the first time I'd kind of been at a loose end for ages. So previous to that, if you wanted to get work in illustration or design or anything like that, you had to lug this huge big portfolio around with you and go to London or go to Dublin and just go and meet people and show them your stuff and stand there sweating while they judged you and then said no or yes or whatever it was. And it was painful. Or you'd submit stuff in the post, or something would happen in the news, but if you were to do a cartoon about it, it would be days before it was anywhere close to being used for a newspaper, by which time the gag was gone. Internet changed all that. And then social media changed all that even more, because it kind of offered an opportunity to speak to people without leaving the house, which was perfect for me, because I thought, previous to this, if you went to Sligo, that's pretty much the end of it, you know. Nobody's going to come to Sligo looking for you. But then this magic thing happened where you could set yourself up with a website and just get in touch with people and not have to leave the office. It
suits you fine. Well, your office is quite nice and your setting here is quite nice.
I know,
I can imagine why it's very easy to not move at all here.
I know, I'm kind of very lucky because I have an enormous office here, which is great because, you know, when I lived in Dublin, I had a desk about 2 foot wide, and that was it. And it was in the middle of the house. And whatever people say about working from home, it is really, really difficult to do that.
So Annie, we've seen loads of your amazing pieces. I came across the beautiful Fleadh one of Sligo Town, which if you'd never been to the Fleadh and you couldn't comprehend what it was like, it was amazing. Before we go into the lovely pieces and books you have, the process. So you get a blank sheet and someone says, will you just create a piece that sums up the Fleadh and Sligo? Where do you start? Do you have full reign on, I want it to be in this street, I want it to look like this, or?
Yeah, they were great actually. They approached me and said, we want to do a poster for the Fleadh that is going to be epic. And I went, come to the right place.
There you go.
And we had a chat about it, Bartley, Gavin and myself, and a few people got together, and I said, well, you know, what's the purpose of it? What do you want to do? Because normally when the Fleadh's on, they don't need to bother with that because it kind of happens organically. You don't need to advertise the Fleadh.
Yeah, no, never, But
this was kind of like something that they wanted to mark the thing. I did 2 years actually. So it kind of started. A lot of illustrators and artists will have these beautiful little sketchbooks that they carry around, and they have perfect little drawings in them, and everything is lovely. And I don't. I have the back of an envelope or a little receipt or my hand or something.
Because an idea comes.
It comes like that.
Okay.
It's usually when I'm walking. If you're a creative person and you're blocked or you can't think of something, go for a looped
I've read
walk.
that recently, only,
But start with a question. By the time you get back to your car, you'll have the answer. It works
That's
every
great creative
time.
advice for anyone watching this.
Oh yes, it works every single time.
Hmm.
Just empty your head and ask the question, go around, and then come back, and it'll be there.
Okay.
But I thought to myself, okay, the Fleadh, Sligo. Well, when the Fleadh comes to Sligo, it's just people, just millions and millions of people, and everybody's playing music. So I thought, okay, well then we'll pick a street and we will fill it with people. And of course, then I thought, oh God, now I'm going to have to do this.
Because when you see the piece, and we'll show it on the clip here, obviously, but like, there's some, like, would you even have an estimate of how many people?
I know exactly how many people.
Oh, okay.
Because I
So
counted
what's
them.
the magic number? Oh, cool, you could do it in a competition. Yeah, people
Yes.
to guess.
And everybody's in it. From Michael, that was one of the things actually that they put into the brief, was that the ambassadors had to be in it. And I was going, what are they? And they had like 4 or 5 FLA ambassadors, one of whom was John Waters, and one was Michael Flatley, and one was Chris Hadfield.
Really?
Yeah.
FLA ambassadors. Okay.
Yeah. So I had them in it, and they're in it, and a few friends of mine are in it. Kieran Quinn is in it. Everybody's in it. Kieran Quinn said, "Where am I?" And I said, "You're the only one playing a grand piano, Kieran. You're there."
I see. I didn't realize it was like, I'll just draw. You could cheekily put in anyone, yourself, kids, friends.
There's a few gags in there that have missed the censor, shall we say?
We'll have to go reviewing that again now.
Yeah, and there was an attempt was made to make it very kind of ecumenical, and everybody's equal, and there wasn't any particular shop or anything. And then the one that came after had to be even more epic, so it had to be higher. So you had to see all the streets.
Yeah. Okay.
And I went, oh God, now I have to do that as well. And it was really hard. The process you were asking about is like, it starts off as an idea, then it becomes a very, very rough scribble, then it becomes a better scribble, then it becomes a rough draft that you can show the client, because you need to show the client a draft that they will understand. Like, I might do something that looks absolutely dreadful, but I know what I'm trying to do.
Yeah.
But that's not going to work, because the client is going to look at that and say, that's dreadful.
Yeah.
I don't understand what I'm looking at. Yeah. Whereas you have to do a finished rough, third draft.
Are each of them from the beginning each time? Or can you... Yeah, it's all... Yeah. There's no computers used in any way to...
No, all
hand drawn. So you start from scratch every time? From
scratch. And if you get it wrong, you have to chuck it in the bin and start again.
And that's when Robert Plant needs to come in and have a chat with you. Does he come often when you're having a bad day?
With the advances in computer technology, there would be times now where, if you had a situation where you had practically finished it and something terrible happened, you could fix it.
Okay.
But if the concept is wrong from the beginning, you'll know that halfway through. If it's not working, it's not working. You just have to chuck it and do it from the other way. If you're doing a piece of artwork, right, and you're not sure if it's right or not, hold it up to a mirror. And if it still looks okay, keep going. If it looks weird, scrap it, start again.
Again,
you have to be brute.
Brilliant advice again for any young...
Oh, yeah. There's a lot of stuff. Get paid as well. That's
obviously one of the key things, to get paid.
Yeah.
So, like, if I said to you right now, redo the FLA, how many hours do you think it would take you, or days, or whatever?
It took about 3 weeks, the first one. But that's all day, every day, for 3 weeks.
Yeah, and that's what I was saying earlier. You work a 39-hour week, essentially.
I do.
It's not like I flit through the fields every day.
Well, you see, this is
flowers.
the thing. There's this stereotype about artists and illustrators, that we kind of do a lot of sitting around. And I'm 64 now. I can do a little bit of sitting around if I want. But it's this kind of... And it drives me crazy when I see that stereotype being bandied about. And also by artists and illustrators who kind of, They
nearly put that out themselves on their own social media, for example.
Yes, this is hard work. In order to get to a point where you get asked automatically to do something, you have to put the hours in. You have to do the work. You have to do the work well. You have to get it done on time and under budget. Yeah. But this kind of you do occasionally come across people who will come to my office and ask me to do something and go, sure, it'll only take you 10 minutes. Do an old sketch. And then you tell them how much it's going to cost, and they go, what? And I'm going, well, if you wanted somebody to take out your liver, it'd cost you as well.
Do you do that on the side maybe as well?
Thought about it. But it's a profession, it's a job, same as everything else. It's not something that you're just kind of doing for the fun of it. And that's where illustrators differ from, say, artists who do it as a hobby, or artists who do it some of the time. There are artists who work very hard, obviously, and put in the hours too, and they're the ones that are doing it and selling work and staying up there and giving it everything. But the trouble is that you have a different view of it from people who don't do it. Yeah. Does that make any sense?
Yeah, no, but I mean, it's like saying, like, you go, well, I can draw this over the next few days, but it's taken me years to make sure I've got the space. And you've given yourself a level, you go, well, I'm going to make my life comfortable and charge. No matter whether it's a DJ, a band, a musician, they've spent weeks and years practicing, learning something, whatever it is, or the plumber that can come in and fix it in 2 minutes in charge of 200 quid, and people give out, it's like, well, I knew what to do. Yeah. Do you want to try to do it yourself?
Why don't you do it? Yeah.
So I think there's a lack of respect in that in some things. Yeah, not all, obviously, in that creative space. Yes. And I suppose that's what the series, we're like highlighting people's stories and make people maybe understand a little bit more what's behind it.
Yeah.
And I'm looking over here behind you, like, I mean, so much of your artwork is just, it'll always catch your eye. You won't stop and go, oh, that's a nice bit of art.
Well, the
Sligo Walks ones.
Yes.
You've just depicted Sligo like a well, it is magical.
Yes.
But like, I imagine even any adult or kid, but I can imagine kids looking at all those and going, oh, I have to go and see that.
That's what it was for.
Now, okay, so the Sligo Walks, because it's absolutely amazing. Never mind the walks are beautiful, but
well, that's artwork. Another story as well that happened. I was at a thing, some launch of some thing or other. And I remember I was sitting on the steps in the 8th building because it was packed out with people. And I got introduced to this gentleman who was talking about all the new walks they were doing in the county council. And I interjected and I said, well, you're going to have to do something about the maps. And he turned around and he says, what do you mean? It was Michael Carty, who was senior engineer with the Sligo County Council, but also a guy who has vision.
Yeah.
They're a rare breed in this county or anywhere, is a guy who works in the county council who gets it.
Yes.
Okay, and it can also make it happen. This is very important.
And I've seen Michael in a few projects in Sligo where he has jumped in and done that.
This is what you need in every county council. Everybody needs a Michael Carty because he understands, first of all, the idea. He listens to the idea, and if he likes the idea, he will guide you along to go, I know how this side works. You don't need to worry about this side. I'll do all that, which blocks so many people when you get into the processes of funding and all the ways it works. Just go, I'll do this part. Soul destroy.
So it is great to have someone, whatever.
He's great that way. Yeah. But he asked me what I meant, and I said, look, when you go to one of these walks, and it's lovely, it's great, and there's a sign, and there's an ordnance survey map. And unless you take a photograph of it or you're good at reading ordnance survey maps, you have no clue what to expect. Like big hills, big down bit, awful bit, nice bit, awful bit. Just what it looks like as a thing. Yeah. And he goes, well, let's discuss.
Back it up now. You just got yourself into trouble.
So he was doing the walk up Knocknarea at the time, which then turned years later into the Queen Maeve Trail, which is quite a production now. But I said to him, what you need is a kind of a 3-dimensional illustration of the whole thing so that people can see, like kids can see it. You can see that it's going to be awful, really long or twisty, windy or along the coast or how far it is. Yeah. And he goes, well, show me. So I went off and I did a couple of drafts and then I did a couple more. And a year and a half later, we finished it. The archaeologists got on board. It got a bit complicated. We got it done. But the idea then was this could actually work with what we're doing here, which is Sligo Walks. We're going to develop a series of walks. And then the next one, I think, was the Devil's Chimney one, which was a challenge because you had to go over a hill and down and up. And I went, I might be good at illustration, but I can't see through mountains, Michael. Come on. Could you make it go that way instead? And we would walk every walk several times, and some of them weren't even done. The Ben Bulben one, I got sent up on that, and I was convinced it was an April Fool because I was up to my knees in muck because there was nothing there but a horse trail.
So you were part of where they go, we're going to map these walks out, but I thought they were like, there's the walks, no, draw them. No.
Well, mostly it would be. Yeah. Mostly it would be walks that were either finished or nearly finished. Okay. But there was a few that weren't, and I had to go and do a recce on those, and it was a bit of a challenge to kind of see where it was going. But the Ben Bulben walk is one of my favourites. But one of my blind spots is Ben Bulben, which I just can't. I'm sorry, I can't draw that mountain. Oh. I must have been asked 100, 200 times in my career, Asher, could you put Ben Bulben in the background? And I go, no, get out, not doing it.
Isn't that mad? That one
thing, it took so long to try. And also because I was looking at it from a pigeon's eye view for this map. And it must have taken, I don't know, 10 or 15 goes to get it right. Wow. I mean, it was wrecking my head trying to figure it out. But, the funny side of it as well was that there was all these kind of like millions of trees, and I'd have to draw every tree, and I'd start putting in little monsters and
yeah, you do put in there's a little like a little Loch Ness monster vibe in some of your pictures
and weird stuff. And then I thought, we should really think about actually putting stuff in there. But the discussion was going all the time. What about this? And then I said to Michael, I think you need to make these into hard copy as well. And the thinking at the time was, oh, come on now, people will be looking at their iPads, they'll see it there. And I'm going, no, what you want is people to stick it in their pocket and bring it back to Japan or New York and stick it on their fridge when they get home. Spread the word. People still like hard copy. They liked when I go anywhere, which is not very often, but when I do, the first thing I want is a map to show me where I am and give me my bearings. But also people who come here to go on holidays, they get a set of maps of all the walks they did and they bring them home with them.
Yeah. They're a collector's item. I mean, I've seen it in the tourist office in town. Yeah. But you just look at you appreciate the art. And obviously you're learning, but as you said, now that really sums it up brilliantly. You get a picture of what this it's not just a lovely piece of art, there's a bit of thinking behind it that it's going to show you what you're going to encounter.
It shows you like the Queen Maeve Trail in particular is massively long. It's 3 hours.
Yeah.
And unless you have some kind of a grasp on what you're facing and what's those wooden steps and the thing, and don't go from the rugby club because that's a set of steps you don't need to take anymore.
Yeah.
But a lot of people still do, weirdly. But
it's lots of ropes, I think, maybe that's
well, if you park in Primrose Grange now, you don't need to use those steps at all because you're up a level already.
Oh, I see. Okay.
So you're already up
loads
there.
Of tips here today.
Oh yeah, you're already up there, so you just go around.
Okay.
Whereas if you go from the rugby club, you've got to get up to that level.
Yeah, and it is quite a. I mean, okay. I mean, it's.
I went up those steps and I went, no, I'm not doing that again. But, the whole thing about the Queen Maeve Trail was to see the whole thing, and realize that there's all this, and there's this bit, and then there's this bit, and then there's this, and it's a hugely long thing, and then there's all the info as well. And we were screaming at each other half the time.
I would imagine so. That was a long project because there's loads of them.
Yes.
I don't know how many you've done, but like SligoWalks.ie, for anyone watching, if they can't get the hard copy for now, just the website.
Yeah. I think I've done 21, 22 maps. A lot, anyway.
That's a lot, I imagine.
Yeah, we're kind of invading.
Sorry, I can't have a look because it's there behind me and I keep catching my eye. Like, we'll show people as well. Like, but
there's that's the old one that was just up the front.
Okay.
And then there's the one now that goes all the way around.
Okay.
And there was a lot of roaring and screaming with that one because of the fact that it was going to be so difficult. But also then they did all the markers all the way along and the whole thing and a big launch and all of that. And it's
I think it's one of the most positive things Sligo's come out with in the last 10 years.
Yeah.
It really sells get around the county, whatever level, age, whatever fitness you are. And it really gives you, okay, what'll I do? I'd often say to people, go to SligoWalks.ie and just...
Yeah.
You'll find the walk that'll suit you if you're here for a day, 2 days a week, one of the kids, So I think it's like the Wild Atlantic Way. It was always there to a point. I know they've improved some of the walks, but like it's a great way to go, okay, now I have a pointer to show me what I should do. And then as you said, the pictures will go, that one looks like it suits me lovely.
Yes.
So it's mad to hear the backstory. I didn't know that at all. Like that.
Yeah.
Cool. And then apart from obviously the individual pieces, you have multiple books, kids' books, and your beloved Yeats.
Yes, my
I did hear,
favourite.
going back to your school days, that you said you loved poetry, was it? Or was it? So tell us about why Yeats features heavily in a lot of your, but
Yeah.
people might think it's because she's a massive fan of you. Can you give us, where did
Well,
that
I'm
start?
a massive fan now.
Yeah. But the
Yeah.
poetry, like a lot of
No.
us in school, maybe it
Yeah,
wasn't always.
It started in school. I didn't realise back in school that this was going to become a major part of my life. And had I known that then I would have been very surprised, because one of my pet hates was English class. I was not bad at it, but it was always this, Yeats, learn this. And I was going, and I'd stick up my hand and go, why?
Yeah, I was the same.
And the answer came back, because I told you, and because you have to, and it's on the leaving cert, and it's blah, blah, blah. And I was going, and there was no real explanation given as to why any of this was on the curriculum, or what it meant, or what significance it would have to anyone. Just, it was there, go learn it. And if you didn't learn it or remember it, then,
Yeah, it was kind of terrible that, like, sometimes it had a lovely meaning maybe, or story to it, but you were like, I just need to remember it, like, which is the wrong way maybe to try and get people into it.
Yeah, and then when I came to Sligo, it was everything. It was everywhere. Yates Hotel, Yates Golf Club, Yates United FC.
That's right.
I
You'd
thought,
love that
oh, right, football team. That makes perfect sense. I like it. And I thought, and I was kind of sort of turning it over in my head. And then I got this inevitable kind of, oh, you better do some nice Yates stuff for the shops and calligraphy. And I would look at some of the stuff, product that was in various outlets around Sligo and places. And the Yates varied from an unrecognisable fat guy to another unrecognisable guy, and it was always the poetry written out. And I thought, I just can't do this.
You can't lie to yourself that you're just not maybe a biggest poetry fan of there.
But also, it's there already. Why am I doing more of it? Anyway, as it happened, again, serendipity, I was made church warden in Drumcliff Church, which is hilarious now when you think about it. But anyway, I had a great time because I was already dressed for the occasion.
Okay.
And I was doing a lot of hanging around the church and talking to tourists and things like that. But then the Yates Summer School came along. And at the time, the president of the Yates Society was a very, very wonderful lady called Stella Mew, who was the best crack. She was brilliant, but very serious to those people. But backstage, we were laughing our heads off all the time. But she was saying to me about, I should, the 4 wedding proposals. And I was going, sorry, what? And she said, Yeats proposed to Maud Gonne 4 times, and she turned him down 4 times. And then he proposed to her daughter when she grew up, and she turned him down as well. And I was going, I'm sorry, what?
Just give you a whole other angle. Maybe if your teacher told you that years ago.
It was one of those moments where suddenly... So I went off and I went for a long walk that day.
Yeah. And
I came back and I read up on it, and I could not believe that I'd missed this joke. And I thought, I might just do something with this. So I kind of sat down and I drew 4 kind of funny versions of what I thought the 4 proposals might look like, knowing that Maud Gonne was a bit of a firebrand, bricks through the window, rocket launchers, stuff like that. And the basis was in fact, but the drawing was somewhat, made funny. So I did those 4, and then suddenly it was like the dam burst. Everything. I started reading up on him, his whole life, the whole lot, and it just got funnier and funnier.
Yeah, you had loads of inspiration.
And then I started reading about what people said about him at the time, which was the things that his contemporaries said about him when he was alive. They were so rude, they were so mean, they were really bitching about each other. And I thought, this is... Anyway, everything went kind of upside down because I did a series of, I think it was 14 or 18.
This was your own personal choice now.
Yes.
These were your own little creations.
I started this on my own, and this was unheard of at the time because back then, you worked for clients.
Yeah.
You get the work. You go looking for the work. You get the work. You get asked to do work. You don't have output of your own. So I was kind of straying into art territory here. So I did an exhibition in Sligo, and then the exhibition went to Dublin, and then I started sticking it up on Twitter, which was just starting at the time. And I had an exhibition in Dublin, and it was overrun with Facebookers and tweeters, and it all went a bit mad. Okay. And suddenly I realised, wait a minute, there's something going on here. But I can't remember. Oh yeah, there was a number of people were at that exhibition and saw stuff, and the American ambassador to Ireland at the time saw the work as well, liked it, bought it all, and just said, we're putting this up in the residence. And I was going, oh yeah. Things like that happened. Yeah. You're very, very lucky. This is another thing that I would say to people who are trying to do this for a living, is a lot of stuff happens by accident, but you have to kind of allow stuff to happen.
Yeah. You have to put it out there to make it have a chance of
yes.
happening, I suppose.
And you can't just sit there hoping to God somebody comes along and does something, unless you do the work in the first place. You have to get the work done. You have to stick to the same style as well. This is very important.
It's renowned.
This is her.
Yeah.
That's what he does. I recognise that style. Yeah. A lot of illustrators will go, I'll do anything you want in any style you want. That's not a good idea. Start with the style and stick to it, right? Okay. Which is why when the Eights in Love series came out, everybody recognised it already. But it was up on Twitter quite a bit, and then Owen Purcell, who was the commissioning editor for New Island Books at the time, we were having a conversation about children's literature, which is a cutthroat business. It is brutal. And I was just kind of moaning about the fact that I just can't do this anymore. I can't keep chasing the children's book market. It's too hard. Yeah. And he said, well, have you ever thought about doing picture books for grown-ups? And I said, but there is no such thing. Going back to that thing I was saying earlier about the older you get, the fewer pictures
the less
you have.
Fun you have in life a lot of the time, and then less.
Why? Why is that? Yeah. And Owen said, well, why don't we try doing a picture book for grown-ups about this Yeats thing? And I said, okay, but who's going to write it? And he said, you're going to write it. And I said, no. No. And we realised then that there was no point in writing the story of this because it was already out there. Yeah. So we thought, well, what's the best way to do it? So we did it as a book, a picture book of the beginning, middle, and end of the sad and pathetic pursuit of Maud Gonne by W.B. Yeats, which is nothing short of painful, but very funny.
Now, anyways, but the poor man must have gone through serious trauma.
Yeah.
So did Maud, maybe.
But what we did instead of writing a book was that I pulled together all the quotes that I could find that people said about him at the time, all these really bitchy comments and sort of snarky remarks about Maud Gonne by his sisters and all of that, and just left a lot of empty space around the drawings and just did it that way and made it into an art book, which is, I think, what they call them now. Okay. Picture books for grown-ups. That's what I call them.
There you go.
But,
new market.
And it launched 2014, end of 2014. So it was, we had a great launch in Dublin, and then we had another launch in Sligo, and then it's just been going ever since. It's into its second edition now, which is nice. David Norris loved it.
He likes a bit of crack, anyways.
He was on board with that from day one, and I said to him, I'll get to James Joyce sometime. And he said, oh, once you start into James Joyce, that's a whole other drain pipe you need to go down. Anyway, that was what started the Yeats thing with me, was just that series of drawings, which then just kept going and kept going. The Americans started seeing them and they had to have them. And it was just looking at the whole thing from a different angle.
Different take, yeah.
You know, without having to go into this whole thing of analysing every word of the poetry. Please, no.
Yeah.
Don't do it to me. You know,
But I think that just goes back to school, though. Like
Yeah.
maybe if you give yourself a nice creative time and relax, you might actually enjoy doing that. But I think it's bet into us so wrong
yeah,
from a young age. So
it was
stuck with
bet
you.
into us. But I mean, you're talking about a period of time as well when there was a lot of beauty in the world and a lot of drapes and wallpaper and frocks, and you know, I mean,
the
it's
pageantry
just
of that.
looking for somebody to draw it, but in a way that's really nice to hang on the wall.
And how many different books have you in total now? How many books have you done?
I've done.
We've one on your screen here, I believe.
That's the latest one.
Okay.
It just happens to be here on my computer.
The Late Night Writers Club.
The Late Night Writers Club. Again, walking. I had this. I've done 4 books with New Ireland. I've done a load of books with them, illustrating other authors' work, like Miles Dungan, people like that.
Okay.
Joseph O'Connor did one for him. But, and I was doing a lot of commercial work in the meantime. Sligo walks, magazines, a couple of newspapers, stuff like that. And then Edwin, the publisher at New Ireland, he says, have you got anything in there at all? And I said, I have something sort of lurking in the back of my head about doing all the other writers, but I don't know what it is. So he said, right, off you go. So I went for a long walk, and I know the exact place where it happened. I mean, it sounds mad, but that spot there is where the idea popped into my head. And weirdly, I got stuck on it later on, how to finish it. And that came to me in another walk. So whatever you're doing, if you're stuck trying to get an idea for it, just take my word for it. It works.
And maybe try a Sligo walk while you're doing it.
Yeah, we should have little plaques saying, this is where it came, this is where the idea happened.
Yeah.
But the idea was, it kind of had a very bumpy start because I had the idea for the story, which was this writer who's blocked and he can't think straight, keeps getting severe headaches, falls asleep in the National Library, wakes up, and they're all there. And it's like, what would it be like to spend an evening, or maybe more, in the company of all of these people? And the immediate thought would be, oh, it would be so inspiring and it'd be lovely. And no, they're all killing each other.
Yeah, I've seen some of the pieces.
They're smoking, they've got their feet up on the tables, they're flicking spitballs at each other. The women just have absolutely no time for these creeps.
And that's what this book is.
That's what this book is about. And it started off as it was going to be a novel and it was going to be written and I was going to illustrate it. But it was my idea. So immediately then, going back to this whole thing, if it's not right at the beginning, if you don't have your foundations right, it's never going to be right. So we kind of spent a lot of time fooling around trying to find somebody to write it. And a couple of people attempted to write it, but just, you can't write somebody else's idea.
Yeah.
And I thought, well, I can't write a novel. I just can't.
Yeah.
Even if I wanted to, I don't think no. So Amy, my daughter, said to me, why don't you do a graphic novel? And I went, what is that? She said, this is all the go now. It's all the rage. They're doing all these books again as graphic novels, like To Kill a Mockingbird and the... Oh. What's the... No, I can't think of it. Anyway, famous book by Margaret Atwood. What's that called?
I can't pretend now I would be a greater source.
Anyway,
we'll edit it in afterwards.
Photoshop it in afterwards. It's just gone out of my head completely. But there was a new kind of a wave of graphic novels being done that were winning prizes all over the place. And she said, why don't you do that? And I went, but that's an enormous amount of work. And she said, well, it's a thought. So I got back to the publishers and I said, how about we do it this way? And they said, well, we've never done this before. This is hard. What do you mean? And again, there was nothing for it, but I had to just go and show them what I meant. So I did I went back to, everything is done for a reason.
Yeah.
I went back to my old film days and storyboarded the whole thing. From start to finish. I spent 3 weeks just doing the book from start to finish with pencil and grey wash. Quick, page, and did 120 pages in 3 weeks. Not bad.
I can't even begin to imagine.
It was, and it was coming out in blobs, and there was bits of script. I wrote it like a script first, then I did a storyboard of it. And as I was doing it, I was thinking of all these gags that you could put in, all these funny stories about these writers and little quirks and foibles that they had. Everything got thrown into this. And it was kind of like, I was trying to explain it as kind of Cheers, but with writers.
Okay.
Because James Joyce and Oscar, James Joyce and Patrick Kavanagh were like Norm and Cliff, right?
Okay.
For those who know their Cheers, they'd be sitting there, you know, making sarky comments all the time.
Yeah.
Making fun of Yeats. Everybody makes fun of Yeats. Everybody is making fun of him all the time.
Throughout the book.
And he doesn't see it. He's so completely
He's off chasing the next
self-obsessed.
lady.
Yeah, he's playing a Ouija board all by himself.
Love the sound of this book. I definitely have to get a copy of this.
It was just the best fun to do because everything I had ever learned about any of them, and I had to do a lot of reading, everything went into that. And it took me the guts of a year and a half to do the artwork. Well, what happened was I sent the storyboard to Edwin, and he came back and, yes, we're going to do it this way. We don't know how we're going to do it.
It's great to have that support, though, when you have a great idea and someone like them comes in and backs
Again,
it.
it goes back to somebody who can bring it to the next level. You can have all the ideas in the world, but if you don't have somebody to help you execute it, and some money, you know, we got an Arts Council grant. I went back to Tom Foley, the American ambassador. He got funding for it. Okay. We got funding, which meant that I could just get on with it.
But that's the thing, to have time to do creative work, you go, well, I need to pay the bills.
Yes.
But this needs a huge amount of time first.
Yes.
I think that's a lot of things, whether you're running a festival or whatever it is.
Yes.
People need to be kind of supported in that way, I think.
Well, yeah, because I had to clear my desk for a year and a half. I had a lot of commissions and stuff like that. I had to turn down a ton of work. In the middle of it as well, I had to do 3 Christmas RTE guide covers.
I was just about to say, this came into my head a minute ago. Yeah, you did the RTE.
I could not turn those down.
Yeah.
Because that's like the holy grail for illustrators. If you get the RTE guide Christmas cover, that's it.
Huge,
you can retire now. Not because of the money,
3.
but just 3. Nobody's ever done 3.
I was going to say, yeah. And I've seen, like, they're amazing.
Hat trick.
There you go. Do you get like a match ball? No special
to get
momentum.
one, I swear to God, to get one was just the greatest thing ever. But also, again, Catherine, the editor, she said, you tell me what you want to do. And I was going, I need a brief of some kind. And I thought, you know, because of the year that was in it and everything, I said, well, what if we had a people's RTE guide? I know I'm going off topic here.
That's okay.
I said, I've looked at all the previous covers and it's all celebrities doing stuff.
Yeah.
And that's lovely.
Everyone loves to see that.
Everyone loves to see celebrities. And I was going, why don't we have a people's cover for a change? She said, what do you mean by that? And I said, back in the day when I used to go down to Sligo with my parents, it'd be Christmas and we'd drive through these tiny little villages and there'd be a string of light bulbs painted with paint. And they'd be popping and burning. Yeah. And it'd be just light bulbs across the street, coloured.
But it was just their way of connecting with Christmas. Yeah.
What if you had like a street in a small little village, just like that, when there's no celebrities? It's just people seeing each other. But they have to have masks on. And there was a lot of discussion about the fact that it's still locked down. So technically you really shouldn't. And I was going, you know, it's a drawing, right?
Yeah. Oh, God, yeah.
Yeah, but what I did was, to avoid that, if you want to get your microscope or your magnifying glass out, the people in it, there's dogs between them. So there was the 3-foot gap between people. And everybody had masks on. And it was technically...
Yeah.
It didn't look it. That's it over there. It doesn't look like people are separate.
Yes.
but just, you know, if you want to get into an argument about the fact that it doesn't look like people are social distancing.
Very sharp brain, Annie. You won't get catch you out, I tell you.
Because I knew there's always going to be somebody. This goes back to filming as well. When you have to have the set perfect, you have to have your continuity perfect, and you have to have your stuff off the time perfect, like in the Irish RM. The thing in the back of your mind always is there's going to be somebody who's going to be looking for a mistake.
Yeah. So you should get ahead of them.
And you must never ever, if there's something in it that you're not sure about now, fix it.
Yeah.
Because there's going to be that guy. I've got to see that.
But again, like trying to just be creative, but then also that logical part here going, let's make sure we cover all the angles.
I think if you want to have a career as an illustrator, you need to be very creative and technically good at what you do. Stick to your style, but also have a business head as well.
Yeah, because you can't survive for long, I imagine, unless you have that. And a lot of people don't.
Well, a lot of people just kind of muddle along. A lot of people, I'm sorry to say this, will work for nothing because they have been either told or they think that this is a good way to get on in the world. But it is not a good way to get on in the world. If you don't get paid even something for the work you're doing, then you have no value for it either.
Yeah.
And you're telling the client, I don't value this because I'm prepared to work for nothing. And then the client thinks, well, if I can get work for nothing. A lot of photographers get into that. Amateur photographers.
Just to get exposure, the beautiful
word. To get the exposure. And you will have people then who go, oh, well, you can get so-and-so because they don't charge anything. But then you get rubbish photos.
Yeah.
The same applies to any kind of work or any kind of creative work. If you want to get good work, you have to pay for it.
Right, yeah.
But also you have to charge for it.
Yeah.
Otherwise, what are we at here?
Yeah. Well, you just get disillusioned and then you give up and you go back to some other job that you go, well, you could have done all this amazing work. But if you don't
put any value on your own work, nobody else will.
Yeah. And speaking of people putting value on your work, like your artwork I've read is some real big names in the world. Brad Pitt?
Yes.
Tom Cruise?
Yes.
The King of England?
Yes.
That's only a start.
That's 3 guys.
Yeah, and I can only imagine, this is just from doing research, like I mean, there's such well-known names, like just randomly, was there someone pointed out to them? Did they find it? Do you know the backstory to how they ended up getting the pieces?
The ones for Brad Pitt and Tom Cruise was for their children. It was commissioned by a client who had worked with them and wanted something. They both had children around the same time.
Okay.
So they commissioned me to do artwork, and it was completely open brief, which was a horrifying prospect because I thought, what am I going to do?
Yeah. What do they like? What are they into? Yeah.
So I eventually did a thing which was kind of based on the idea, with the Brad Pitt one, was based on the idea of the fact that the birth of their child was very public.
Mm-hmm.
And it was all over everything, and it was the topic of news for everybody. And I thought, well, what if you had a situation where you were in the woods and there was all the animals looking at it, and something stuck on a tree saying, baby has been born. So I did that.
Okay.
And they loved it.
Yeah. Did they personally come back in any way?
No,
or did you get any feedback?
No.
And the King of England, what did he think of your? Does he have it in Buckingham Palace, I wonder?
Oh, of course he has.
In the bedroom, I heard, is it?
Yeah. That was a terrifying one as well, because I got 24 hours to get that done. Because for one reason or another, the presentation didn't happen. So there was a bit of a panic. And I had not really intended to get involved in any of that at all, because there was a lot of stuff going
around the outside of it, yeah.
Yeah, and I kind of stayed away from that. I was also very busy doing something else, and it didn't really inspire me to go and hang around looking for the prince.
Yes. And then you get landed with a job with 24 hours to do.
Yeah, so I got asked to do this at the very last minute, and I thought, oh. And I knew that they were going to plant a tree for him. So I did the generic drawing of Drumcliff Church. Mm-hmm. Of course, every stone had to be drawn.
And then 24 hours.
Yeah, with the tree in front of it. So I basically just went into the office and stayed there for the night and got it done. And then it had to be framed, and then it had to be inscribed, and then it had to be wrapped up, and the whole lot. So I handed it over. I got it done. I was very pleased with myself, but I was also very, very tired, dehydrated, starving. And I said, right, that's that done. I will now go and have a sleep. And the next thing then I was woken up and told, no, you're to come down to the church. And I was going, no. So I was forced to go down to the church. And I was kind of shoved in there. You stand there, and he comes out, and I'm completely unprepared because I hadn't been informed that I was supposed to be doing this at all.
After no sleep.
After no sleep, and I probably said the wrong thing, and I curtsied just about. And then I just saw the moment and took it. And I said, I'd like to invite you back to the Spike Milligan Festival, which is happening soon. And he looked at me and he went, oh, what do you mean? And I said, well, as the patron of the Goon Show Appreciation Society, I'm sure you'd be interested in the Spike Milligan Festival. So we started talking about that. And then you could see there was some sort of movement going on over here. And what the MI5 Secret Service guys had allocated like the number of seconds that he's supposed to talk to somebody. This was going on too long, and they started getting very twitchy. And then the journalists, which the press pack were over there, and they started getting very twitchy as well because we were, what are they talking about?
Yeah. So
he asked about how did I know the Goon Show thing, and I said, well, I'm a member as well. And he said, nice, okay, right. Well, I'll try and get back for that. Yeah. And then, of course, it occurred to me that Spike Milligan had been very insulting to the Prince back in the day. Said, oh, it's fine. He didn't mind that at all. So, and then as soon as it was over and he was gone, they all came racing over going, well, what were you two talking about?
I hope you made up some lie, something.
I said, we were talking about the Goon Show. What else would you be talking about? So that was great, and got to meet him and the whole lot. I didn't think that there would be any kind of follow-up to that, but it was nice. Good for the brand, that whole thing.
Yeah, that's cool. Do you think there's another career you would have been good at, or you'd love to have tried?
I had...
I love asking this question to creative people.
I'd love to be a litigator.
Okay, that's quite a different...
I always have this kind of thing going on where when I see bad things happening to people, or people suffering other people's meanness, I kind of have this kind of need to see justice done.
Yeah.
You know, like people chucking rubbish out of cars, or you know, libeling people.
Yeah.
Both ends of the spectrum.
Yeah. Just grinds your...
That would be good, but then that would involve having to go and study law, which I'd like to skip over that part.
Yeah, if you could draw your way to it or something.
Yeah.
Draw the thesis.
Yeah, I'm interested in Sligo as a place that needs to be bigged up more.
Yeah.
Not to the point where it becomes like the Cliffs of Moher. Don't want that. But what I think we need is a little bit more confidence as a county in ourselves. We have a tendency to be a little bit sort of underconfident in our own Sligo-ness.
Yeah.
And then you see it, and you walk around and you go, this place is absolutely unique.
Yeah, it's
and yet there's very little mention of it really anywhere. But then you kind of get this kind of conflict in your head. Do you want the place to be overrun with tourists?
Is it possible to have a happy medium in that kind of world? If you go too touristy, it's wedged all the time. It loses its soul a bit. Yeah, I know. I understand. But I think the good thing about Sligo, it obviously has the obvious tourist elements, but like it's got, you know, big, how do you say, sporting, music. It tips a lot of things, you know, that you can just, people come here and go, well, the sporting world is lovely, or as I said, the music. But then obviously the nature and that is just there. But yeah, I think we can sell it in a lot of facets without just being one thing.
I think Tommy Tierney put it very well at one time. He referred to Sligo as a Protestant Galway.
I always call it a relaxed Galway.
Yes.
You know, and I'm from Galway, and it's a relaxed version.
Yeah, I mean, Galway is crazy. And I spent a lot of time there back in the day. And I thought, oh, this has got such a vibe. It's so exciting, isn't it? But you can only really be like that some of the time. And I think that's what's nice about Sligo, is everything kind of ticks along. And we're absolute geniuses, and we don't like show off about it. The place is absolutely coming down with artists, writers, musicians.
It's amazing, like
surfers, sports people, and they're just doing it. This is
yeah, we're doing it. And well, a comedian told me once, you're so relaxed in Sligo. It was Carl Spain, I'll give him his credit. He said, even your number plate, he said, you're so relaxed, even your number plate goes, so.
Exactly.
So it's kind of inadvertently the perfect number plate for us, you know?
It kind of is. And I think sometimes, you know, we get too many little kind of organizations, and they're all competing against each other to do stuff. Yeah. When in fact, if everybody were to just sit around a table and everybody should do it as, like the Amsterdam thing. Like if you go on, how do I do Amsterdam? There's one place you go to get everything.
Yeah, true.
Whereas with Sligo, it's kind of pick and mix, you know. And it is the most unique place, but it's for kind of quality tourism, if that's not a snobby way of putting it.
No, but there is a sustainable tourism, I think, is maybe a way of putting it.
Yeah, and it's for people who like a bit of quiet. Yeah. It's not right up in your face all the time. You can go to a gig if you want to.
Yeah, yeah.
But also you don't have to if you don't want
walk
to.
By the river 5 minutes later and chill, you know. So I think Sligo has that as a massive asset.
Yeah,
you know?
And I mean, you've got places like Rockley, which I don't want to shout about too much, because people went to live in Rockley for a bit of quiet. And
so we'll beep out the word.
Yeah. But one of the things about going there is, like the other night when you had the amazing sundown, and then right behind you is the harvest moon coming up. I mean, where would you get it?
Yeah, it's amazing.
But there's just something really, really very special about it, and not just because my family come from here, but it has all these different bits to it that just keep coming at you, you know. Yeah. Every time you go around a corner, there's something else that you didn't notice before.
I just think you can't get bored if you pause and open your eyes more at different streets, you know, rivers, land, whatever you are, you go, oh, that's there.
But there was one time there was a fellow on the radio complaining about the fact that the road signs were all pointing in the wrong direction, and it was terrible. The signage is terrible. And I was going, no, because you get pointed down that road there, and the next thing you find yourself at Innisfree, or you find yourself somewhere you never thought you were going to end up in, and you'll never get out, and you'll buy a house and end up living there.
That's a great way to get the people to move it.
You know, that sort of thing.
So before I let you go, like, I mean, this series we've been talking to 8 different individuals living in the creative world, whatever way that is for different people. Like, how would you sum it up, why it's so important for you as a human to be in that space? Do you find like you'd be nothing, you'd feel terrible if you couldn't do it anymore? Is it really valuable part of your life? Or, as you've said, it is partially a bit of, I need a bit of money.
I had thought about retiring recently. That didn't work out. No, there comes a point where you sort of think, I can't do any more because I'm that busy, you know, and you physically can only do a certain amount as one person physically. And it got to a point recently where I was just not able for all the work. And because they all wanted it to be me, then I couldn't say, well, you can get someone else. Unless there is another person doing the same thing as I am. And at the time...
there isn't really, like, no one has your style. Like, it's so unique.
My style, but also even the commissions. Like, I had just done one for the President Higgins, which God, it nearly broke me. There was so much in it. Yeah. So much in it.
But I think people only see the lovely picture with you and the President or whatever, and they delighted. And, like, we probably underestimate or forget. And that's why I say, you say retire, like, I mean, there probably is times going, this is just draining every few weeks. I imagine it's a really tough process that people probably don't appreciate.
No.
And I mean, you're such a jovial, fun person. Like, I'd say I don't even know you till today. I've never met you. I've watched you from afar. I've seen your Twitter. I would tell anyone, if you're in a bad mood, go on your Twitter. There's crack, there's fun, even on your website. Some of the pieces, but the lines underneath.
Yeah.
It's magic.
Well, it's like magic. You have to find the funny in everything.
Yeah.
Because there's enough serious stuff around the place without, and people being, you know, mean to each other. But also, you know, life is too short to take it too seriously. And if you can find the funny in something, then you're away with it.
Well,
because then everything gets funnier.
You definitely epitomise that more than most people I've ever met. Like, it's brilliant. But it must be great to do something you love, but then I'm actually in the crack as well. Like, so it's a lovely.
It is good fun. Yeah. And if you have to do something serious, then it's not for me. I say to people, like if somebody comes to me and says, I want you to do something like this, and I'm going, well, not for me. If it's not funny, I'm not interested.
Okay. We'll get you in the comedy festival so next time.
Yeah. Well, this is the funny thing, is that I don't know where that would fit with me, because it has to be on a piece of paper, you know. But having said that, you know,
you have an exhibition around the town of all, you know, the pieces with the lovely lines. It's just the humour, you know, just brighten someone's moment to someone's day.
Yeah, but I mean, the thing about it is, I did consider maybe packing it in for a while, and I did have to take a break for a good while after the book came out, because I just was exhausted after that, and the launch and all the publicity and all the going around all the bookshops, everything had to be done. And then I just wasn't able for it anymore. So I said, I'm just gonna do nothing for a while. And I hated it.
You had to force yourself, I imagine.
Yeah.
Yeah, it wasn't easy.
But at the same time, then you can easily kind of fall into the trap of getting blocked, because if you don't have stuff happening all the time.
Yeah, well, we're not designed to retire, I read once.
No.
You know, a lot of countries, people don't, okay, they might take a step back, but they don't fully stop on a certain day of a certain year. Like, it doesn't make sense, like, you know.
No, and I think as well, when you have two strands to your job, where on the one hand you have clients coming to you, and on the other hand you have your own work that you want to get done, and you're trying to do all of it at the same time, the first thing to go is the clients, which is wrong. It should be the other thing. But then you go, well, and then you end up in a mess. But what I've done now is that I've cut back on some aspects of commissioned work, and just gone, I'm only going to do some of the jobs that I really, really, really want to do.
Like, yeah, okay.
I think we're done with the RT guide now. I can't do another one.
Well, you haven't done bad. Well, you have the hat trick.
I'd love to, but I don't think they're going to ask me a fourth time, because that'd be crazy.
But it's such a unique cover then, and as you said, people buying it, you get a different vibe, and a kid could spend an hour looking at it. Yeah. Whereas there's 4 celebrities jumping around the place, that doesn't connect people at all. And it's like a present in itself, the picture. Yeah. You could take it out and frame it, like, you know what I mean? So it's a gift. It's Christmas. So I think they should be doing it more often.
Yeah, it was funny as well, because the one that I had to do when the whole thing happened, the incident.
Yeah, we don't talk about it.
You know, we were sort of going, what are we going to do? And I was going, well, it's going to have to be something, you know, full of the joys and none of the nonsense. And Ryan Tubridy's not going to be in it. And, you know, stuff like that. Just nothing to do. It's Christmas. It's nothing to do with art.
Give our brain a break, like.
Yeah, and just have something that like kind of leaps out of the page at you, and you can have a go at reading it all and see what's in there. And I think that was what they wanted, and it was nice to do that for a change.
At the right time, I imagine.
And I got a sense as well that maybe this is one of the things that you benefit from when you're old, is that people know that you know how to do it.
Okay.
Because I have come across editors who are just exasperated trying to explain to people how to do it. And a lot of stuff is done on computers now, and it's vector graphics, and it's kind of charmless. I don't say that lightly, but that's what people like. It's very easy to do, but it's kind of,
If someone can just type in the graphic now into AI, and it'll just come up with this amazing...
Yeah, and you have these shapes with people with no features, and it's oh yeah, anybody can do that. But not anybody can do that. Somebody has to do it.
Yeah, no, I know what you mean.
Do you know what I mean? But at the same time, with my work, it's clear that somebody has to do it, but it takes longer.
Yeah, a lot longer. But it's something about having something, like, we met people, crafters and that at this time, and, you know, Michael Quirk, the wood turner, like, it's a bit of their human magic has gone into the piece, like, and that gives it more resonance and more, you know, value, I'd say, to people. So,
completely.
So, now, before we finally let you go, where do people find all your beautiful artwork to buy? All online, and buy it in bookshops all over the place as well, I'm sure.
You can get books in any of the good bookshops, or the best bookshops, or all the bookshops.
Okay.
My website is anniewest.com, easy to remember. There is another anniewest.com. She writes for Mills and Boon.
Don't order
She's
the
a
wrong
lovely
thing.
woman. I sometimes take credit for her better titles, but
Okay.
no, she's a lovely woman, and we have had many conversations about emails we should have
got to each other, yes. Okay.
But if you want to see my work, you can go onto the website, and there's a shop there where you can buy things, and lovely for the literature fan in your life, or the history fan. And we've got some history and science.
That's the thing. There's fun, like this science, like there's really funny illustrations of the Spire in Dublin. I want to rule it, and the Titanic. You know, even to go on your website, there's a great fun and laugh, and then I'm sure there'll be a piece for everyone of every budget and every kind of what your humor is.
Well, yes, it is. It's affordable and it's lovely and it goes up there and it'll make you laugh when you look at it. Hopefully,
it's a lovely piece in any home to go.
Thank you.
To go. That'll give me a moment, like, you know. So that's again just for anyone that's just start reading more and watching what you're doing.
It's an unusual thing to do art that's funny. That's the thing. There's not much of it about.
No, true.
You know, so.
And your Twitter also. What's that again, Andy?
AnnieWest.com.
Again, so again, that's also great for a bit of fun and chat. And you're always spotting things and quick on the mark, like so.
I think the funnest one was when Hosier was on the Late Late Show, and he was kind of gazing at Ryan like that. And I just saw it and I went, oh, somebody had taken a still of it and they were all laughing and look at him. So I tweeted to him, draw me like one of your French girls. And he tweeted back to me there and then, draw me like one of your Irish poets.
I've seen a picture in the background here where you met him.
Yes.
Yeah. So
yes.
that did you give him that pic?
We're a little bit in love with each other.
Okay, that's okay. You could be worse with
I'm old enough to be his mother. No, we get on really well. He's a Quaker. He's a very nice guy. Yeah, he works very hard. Yeah. Doesn't just come out of nowhere.
No, and he's just a powerhouse.
He's an amazing guy, and he's also very, very tall.
I've seen that.
Yes.
Amazingly tall.
And it was funny because my new son-in-law, the first day he met me, was in there with Hosier. So he didn't feel in the least bit threatened at all.
It's my bouncer, yeah.
But yeah, Twitter was great, will be great again. Yeah, it was a great platform for me.
Or X, as we maybe should be calling it.
I mean, it's gone a bit funny now, but I find it very useful and have done down the years. And I've met some really, really nice people that I wouldn't normally have met.
You don't have to leave your home.
Here. Yeah, I don't have to leave the house and I'm talking to people all over the place. Yeah. You know, and it's unusual people and people who you would think you'd never get a chance to meet or talk to, you know. Well, you've an array, Tom Cruise follows me.
There you go. You have an array of memories here, like, which is amazing. Like, and your story, again, so glad you've come on our episode here.
Oh, I'm delighted
to find your story, and then it's banked now. Because I didn't know half the stuff. The amount of serendipity and twists and turns and chances.
Being in the right place.
And it all started with chemistry.
Yeah,
in a weird way.
Literally chemistry. Imagine.
Mad. Well, Annie, listen, thank you so much for being on the show. Thanks for inviting us into your lovely home, your lovely dogs.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
This place is just a gorgeous place to come in and just see. You can feel the magic that's happened in here before.
Yeah, we're hiding in plain sight here in Sligo.
Yeah. And I think on behalf of lots of people in Sligo, thanks for the fun, the joy, the lovely story you carry and tell of Sligo and the way you depict it so brilliantly. So don't retire yet, anyways. You know,
I won't.
Do it a little bit, even. You know, reduce it a bit if you need to.
Well, thank you very much for asking me. I'm delighted to be on this program.
Thank you very much. So, thanks again to Annie West, who featured on our Creative Sligo series, which was brought to you in association with the Creative Ireland Sligo Fund. Thanks to Brian behind the cameras who's doing all the real hard work, and we'll see you all again next time.
The Sligo Show is produced by Pixel Productions and hosted by Brendan Tierney. If you need video for your business or live event or would like to appear on the show, send us a message today.